You are faithful, faithful through all things. You are faithful, faithful through all things. You are with us. We are not alone.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to our global family. Wow, what a beautiful and a wonderful time to be together on the studio. This is Power to Lead show with Nsiki Ngcobo. We are live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube page. That is on my pages that are under Nsiki Ngcobo. Thank you so much as we still continue to celebrate women on the International Women's Month. The International Women's Day was on the 8th of March. We celebrated very well with a panel of women from all over the world. And now, this time around, it's a Sunday, we're starting the new week, and the good thought was to bring in men who support women and girls in digital space and beyond. So we are talking to Bishop Fani Mahlangu from Bumalanga in South Africa. He is well known as FJ in his community and workplace. And we have Gunther Wallendorf from Johannesburg, Gauteng in South Africa. So this time, the podcast in South Africa picked a few good men from South Africa to come and support women and girls and talk to us. I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves. And as we don't read bios at Power to Lead show, they are going to tell us who they are and what they do to their best ultimate ability. We do this on this show because we give confidence to people. It's part of coaching on Legacy Coach and Heritage so that somebody knows himself or herself very well. So as they are going to tell us who they are, listen carefully when someone takes authority and dominion. I'm going to start with Bishop Fani Mahlangu. Please tell us who you are, where are you from, and what do you do?
Let me say hi to Power Lead Show viewers. I'm glad I'm honored to be in this show. So yeah, my name is Fani Mahlangu. I am known as Mahlangu. I am wearing multiple heads. Like for example, at this moment, I will be wearing a head of a bishop, where I'm responsible as the church bishop, not just a normal church, but a church that is empowering young people, a church that is empowering women, a church that is empowering people, a church that is focused more on education, focused more on business, focused on more technology, to make sure that we take the church to the next level. And at the very same time, I'm also in business, making sure that we push business as one of the important elements or a pillar. And at the very same time, I'm also in corporate, part of the leadership in the corporate. So I'm lucky, and I am so excited to be talking here and sharing my expertise, sharing my knowledge and my experiences in the corporate, in business. And at the very same time, I also want to say that I'm also a chairperson in a community serving organization. I'm talking about the NPO as well, a foundation that I'm the co-founder and also the chairperson. So there we are pushing the development of people living with disability, the empowerment of people that are living with special needs and women and the youth. So bringing innovations to make sure that we push the life and make things easy, make life easy, especially that we are talking about the digital space. We are also having a program that I will share later on how we influence the nation, how we influence the whole revolution in terms of technology, in terms of the digital space, like you said. So I am Bishop F.J. Masango. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Bishop F.J. Matlangu. That was a good introduction. I'm going to bring in Gunther, and I'm not going to even spoil his introduction because before you do the introduction, please speak a positive word as we open the podcast and the positive word to the world, to the community, society. We normally open the show with a word of prayer. So today, it is your time to open with a positive word. Then, after that, please introduce yourself. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nsiki, and thank you very much for having me on the show. Power to Lead show. I'm pleased to be here and honored to be here. A positive word. You know, I think a lot of us don't appreciate the current time we're living in. And the fact of the matter is, it's never been easier to get oneself exposed to the world as it is today. We've got digital technology that will expose you and your business to the world at almost no cost. And I would love to say no cost, but of course, there's always a cost to everything, even if it's only your time and a bit of data that you're using. But if you think about the past, it was never that easy to get onto a Facebook or Instagram or something like that. You had to physically advertise in a newspaper or a magazine or a radio or a TV, and those things were extremely costly. So we need to understand that we are currently living in the best times in the last 100 years for anyone to get exposure for what they do and what they stand for out to the world. And I think we need to appreciate that. It's really a benefit. It's a benefit that we should not neglect because it is the thing that will drive us forward as individuals and as business owners. I'd like to introduce you to the New Nation
Oh,
Education
wow.
Nonprofit Organization.
There's a storm in Randfontein in Gauteng. So
Yes.
that's a glitch on the side where Gunther is speaking.
Can you hear me? Great. I will actually continue. I see people are typing in the chat and say they can actually hear me. So I'll continue. So the New Nation Education Nonprofit Organization was registered in 2019 with the purpose of generating sustainable funding for the education of the more than 14 million school children in South Africa. Now, although the focus is on making sure that school children have everything they need to get a decent education, over the last few years, we've come to realize that we have 26 million people on social grants in South Africa, 7.5 million unemployed, a lot of people that are disabled and can't get employment. We have school dropouts. We have students at university that can't pay for their tuition fees. And the New Nation Education Nonprofit Organization has made it their purpose to help each and every member of a community so that they can become self employed or business owners or entrepreneurs. And we do this through training programs in business, entrepreneurship, and skills development. And that way, we help individuals, women and girls alike, to get to the point where they can start their own business or become self employed. There is no other option. The industrial age died years ago. There are no large corporations coming along to employ thousands of people anymore. It's now time for us to take responsibility for ourselves and our families and make sure we do what we need to do to step into this digital age that we have before us and take advantage of it. Thank you very much, Nsiki.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Gunther. That was a beautiful introduction. Now, we are going to start on our topic, DigitALL. And we talk about innovation and technology, gender equality for women and girls. How do you think, in your sphere, we can do this to uplift the standards? Hello, Gunther. If the network cuts me again, takes me out of the studio, it will never take you out. So continue to just roll with the script I sent. How do we help women and girls on this gender equality? As this is our topic this year on the UN for the Women's Month, Digital Innovation and Technology, Gender Equality. How would you help someone out there?
Sorry, Nsiki, who are you
Over
speaking
to
to?
you, Kunze.
Oh, thank you very much. So
I'm
the
speaking
training
to you.
programs, so the training programs that the New Nation Education does is really specific about the business the individual wants to start. It's not about training people or educating people to become employees. It's about helping them on their own path. And so we will help girls or women that want to go into business for themselves in any particular business they would like to go into with the correct training and the correct motivation and mentorship. We will also then help and guide them when they start that business to make sure that they don't fail. Because the more people we can get, the more women and entrepreneurs and young girls we can get involved in business, the more people in the communities will be employed. Okay, and Siki, are you back?
All right. Gunther, you can continue, please. I see the
I was,
network
yes,
keeps on kicking me
yes,
out.
dropping out. I
And
was just
please just
saying,
continue to respond. Yes,
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 I
please
had
continue.
already So I had already responded to the question in the sense that we give this training specific to what the person wants to do in their business. In other words, we don't tell people what type of business to go into. We can help them decide which business they would like to go into. And the training will be specific to the type of business these ladies or girls would like to start for themselves. Because the more people we can help start businesses in a community, the more people will be employed within that community. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much. I see Bishop is still cannot unmute. I'm trying to unmute his device, but it's not. We
I am
we
unmuted.
we have. Let me
Yes, we
see.
hear him.
Just check the.
I am
Oh,
unmuted.
wonderful.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Please respond. Please respond. Hello, Bishop Methangu. Please respond.
Yes. Yes, I can hear you, ma'am. Can you hear me?
All right. Our Yes, we hear you clearly. We hear you.
Okay.
We hear you. And I was saying, please kindly respond to the same question as Gunther.
Okay, let me come in. As I see, we are struggling with network, but let me come in maybe just show you that we are really on the same line. I heard when you say the people that you're assisting in your NPO, you actually not choosing for them what to do, what kinds of development kind of training that they want to do. You actually give them that freedom, but at the end of the day, you empower them, you support them. So on my side, what we are doing, our training, because we are also training people, our training is more based on agriculture. What we did before we come to this, we decided as an NGO or as an organization, we looked at the impact of the epidemic, epidemic of COVID. We all understand what the impact and the effects of COVID-19 had in the whole business industry. It was actually a kind of a revolution. So what we did, we said, okay, it's fine. Let's just be honest and say, what are the things that came with COVID-19? What are the changes in the whole industry? Then we realized that the 4IR or the fourth industrial revolution really it's here to stay. But now there are two things or two legs that on our side we have identified. We have realized that through the COVID, especially the lockdowns, we survived through the essentials, and all the essentials came from agriculture. If I would use agriculture instead of farming and like, but agriculture. And another thing we also realized in terms of communication, that people could not make it outside communication. Now I'm talking about the digital space. I'm talking about your network. I'm talking about your digital marketing. Now business had to go the digital way. There's so many changes that happen. And then we realized that through the lockdown, we survived through agriculture and also the IT space. Now we realize that the future is based on these two main components. Obviously, the human elements in terms of human performance will always be there. But in terms of the change, the revolution, the agriculture and also the technology was the main pillars of our survival. So then we decided to say no, let us now make sure that in our organization we make these two legs a priority. And then we started to develop agriculture in terms of developing the communities. But in our agriculture, we said, let us combine agriculture and technology so that we can be able to empower the communities. And our youth and our women were the priority in the space. So on our side, our main focus is to make sure that farming and technology comes together. In terms of technology, we were looking more on areas that are on the outskirts. I'm talking about areas that don't have resources. Like for example, when you look at the digital space, let's talk about the network. Like now we are struggling with a network. That is what we are struggling as a country. Yes, we have moved through digitalizing our systems, but the quality of our network is not yet at the level where everything can be streamed and can operate um, how can I say, without hassles. At the moment, like now, that's the reality that we're experiencing. But then we said, no, no, no. If that is the case, what about the people staying in rural areas? What about the people who are staying in outskirts of the towns? People, you'll find that, like to be specific, when you go to Eastern Cape, you'll find that there are areas that even the tar road is not available. When somebody is sick, and then they struggle to even get to the hospital, to get even to the clinic. Why? To move from the house to the main street, they struggle. Now we said, no, 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 no. I think now is the time that we digitalize our services. And then we started to talk with the doctors to say, doctor, how can we make sure that we introduce the digital consultation? I'm talking about visual consultation. And you can see even today, when you take your cell phone, go back to the camera, you put your finger, it's able to take all the vitals. And when you take the vitals, it will tell you your BP, it will tell you all the vitals record. Now take that, link that to the system of to the medical system. And then when the doctor comes on board, the person can stream while he's at home, but a pure consultation. Now on our side, we said, no, no, no. Let us also make sure that we take our services to the rural areas, to the outskirts, in terms of bringing the network system. Now we call that a community network. But obviously, remember, the network is also very expensive. And then we had to come and bring a network that will allow all the people to enjoy the benefits of your level 4, your level 5 services. We're talking about even education. When you're talking about training, if I remember well, there's an area in Limpopo where we look at the pass rate. The pass rate was very low. And then we decided to say, no, in that area, the only contribution that we can do is to bring the online education. We've got professors, we've got people who are gifted. How can we make sure that students or children in those areas, they also have access to this quality of educators? And then we started with this community networks. And let me tell you, we went into, it was just, there's a small town after Umtata where they're using the community network. That means I just want to give figures because it was a powerful thing, whereby the community, you find that they've got a network system. In that network, they pay 25 rand a month and to access unlimited Wi-Fi. Now, that is what we saw. Then we said, okay, we can actually learn from them and have the very same community network and make sure that we bring it to all the communities where we are. Like I'm talking about the outskirts and the like. And really, we have seen the impact. We have started the project. We have involved a lot of people. We have even taken the churches. Remember, during COVID, even churches were closed. Now, churches were not able even to collect their offering to survive. Many churches struggled during COVID, and some of the churches closed permanently because of the COVID. And we said on our side, how can we make sure that churches are able to run even without the physical contact, but through the visual consultation, through the visual church? And then we started to create a concept of smart churches. But at the very same time, remember, as much as we are pastors, we are bishops, in our community, there are people that are interested in entertainment. We went as far as, let's look in the industry of entertainment and see what is it that a majority of our people, especially those who are in the outskirts and rural areas, what is it? What is that they cannot access? I will find that, to give an example, when it goes to entertainment, they will have a DJ that is famous, that is staying somewhere in Sentin. Other people have access, but to that DJ. But people from the rural areas, outskirts areas, people that are actually coming from the very humble background, they can access this. Then we said, no, through this community network, we will then bring services whereby one DJ can be in Sentin, but then we do these smart entertainment centers, be it in the taverns, be it in the clubs. And now I'm not talking about church because we have the smart church program, but I'm talking about the entertainment industry. I know other people don't like it, but because we're looking at the technology, the advancement, the revolution that comes because of the technology, we're to go and say people are staying in the taverns. How can we make sure that people can stay at home but still enjoy the same vibe? And then a program was also created to make sure that we bring that kind of entertainment. Now I'm talking about the entertainment industry. I'm talking about the medical industry. I'm talking about the education industry. Now, these were the three main elements that we brought together. And we also went as far as, after having all this, farming. What is it in farming? How can we make farming? How can we bring the technology to make farming more interesting? Because to be honest with you, people are associating farming with a low class kind of life, but we cannot do without farming. Actually, the best thing to do is to make sure that farming is at the central of whatever that we are doing. But then we said,
Yes.
no, go back to farming. And then we went to farming, and then we said, in farming, we want to digitalize, we want to bring technology in farming. And one of the things that we have introduced in farming was to make sure that we do the cashless system, making sure that people in the farms, wherever they can procure, they can access services, they can access products without really using like hard cash. Now that is where we brought technology. But in all that we did, we have given the opportunities to the youth and also to the women. Now that is why I can answer our host to say, what is it that we have done in terms of empowering youth, in terms of empowering women? I would say we have opened these opportunities in the farming industry or in the agricultural industry where we need women to be leaders in this industry. You can see there's another lady that we met last week. The lady is pushing the chicken industry. She's doing poetry and she's doing so well. Even the government supported her. But I came to her and say, yes, you're doing well, it's good. But the problem that we are still having is the cash. How can we make sure that we bring the digital space into your business, making sure that you don't deal with cash? So let me stop there for now. But what I want to say is, from our side, our focus is more on bringing technology, making sure that people who don't have access actually to the services of technology, we bring this access to them, and at the very same time we introduce level 3, level 4, level 5 services of to take them to the next level, like I said, in terms of education, in terms of the space, and at the very same time the entertainment. But we are continuing taking the space, making sure that we improve, but making sure also that women and the youth are also leading in this space. And so far, and another thing that we did also to make sure that whatever that we are doing, we give good quality. We decided to say, fine, as much as we are pushing the IT, we are also pushing the agriculture. Let us get accreditations. So far, we have achieved an accreditation in agriculture. We are giving 3 qualifications in agriculture, and we are moving forward also on the IT space, because we want to make sure that also on the ICT we have accreditation, because we have realized that training is the core, training is the fundamental. Whatever things that we want to do, whatever shift, whatever paradigm that we want to shift, we have to introduce training, skills development. So that's how far we contribute towards the women and the youth development as our foundation. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Bishop F.J. Mahlangu. He's an engineer, he's an entrepreneur in Mpumalanga. And now I just want to show, this is Power to Lead Show with Ntsiki Noto. Our mission on the show is to heal, educate, empower, innovate, influence, impact, inspire to love what you do and love yourself, live to leave a legacy of leadership, heritage, and a legacy of integrity. So that's why we do what we do on Sundays and this hour, Empower Hour, and on Wednesdays. So today I have few good men from South Africa who are contributing to support women and girls and uplift them in this digital space. I have Jan Roberts, who is also our guest in studio. Is it possible, Jan, for you to unmute yourself and then share with us your thoughts on this topic? First of all, I'd love for you to introduce yourself, tell us who you are and where you're from and what you do, and how you help or uplift, assist women and girls in the digital space.
Yes, thank you very much for allowing me into the room, and thank you for my dear friend Gunther for inviting me. My name is Jan Roberts. I'm the founder of Key Leadership Institute and founder of JR Speakers Club. And I was very inspired by what I've heard so far. There is one thing about leaving a legacy. My wife, Dr. Artie Moore Roberts, and myself, we have a couple of more trainings companies as well in the diversity, equity, and inclusion space as well. And we always say, why wait to leave a legacy? It's about time we live the legacy. So that's where we come from. And you know, Women's Month this month. I love what the bishop was saying about agriculture as well, because we are at the moment partnering. We've got a collaborator in an entrepreneurial platform, and we are just about ready to launch an amazing Africa-wide food growing program, and it's called the Africa Food Initiative, which it's going to be phenomenal. But it's basically what's happening around the world, and that's why we need women so much. Because I mean, in a lot of African countries, women are working the land anyway. But we need our youth as well. We work on a few different areas. But for the food, is becoming so important, and there's a food shortage around the world now. There doesn't need to be, because I'm originally from the Netherlands, and I'm in Johannesburg, South Africa, and the Netherlands is one of the smallest countries you can find, and it's the second biggest exporter of food. Now you can hide the Netherlands somewhere in Mpumalanga. So that, you know, Africa has got more than 60% of arable land. Has got the most, more than 60% of people are under 35. There's an enormous force there ready to connect IT, IoT, and farming the new way. And for that, they need people who've got the technology, who've got the tools, who've got the resources, who've got all the other kind of things to encourage young people, as well as everybody else who is not employed at the moment, to get either trained, retrained, or upskilled, or skills development. And I'll love to talk to the bishop afterwards as well, because we could well use him in this humongous project. But we need them to start getting interested in farming, because a lot of the young people are now interested in technology and sitting in front of a computer. But there will be even more money to be made in farming than there ever has been, because South Africa, it's about time. See, it started a conversation, but 2030, Africa will import at least $150 billion worth of food, which is absolutely crazy, because South Africa at least was a net exporter of food many years ago, but they're now all importing. And that what would it mean alone if in the next 7 years we can keep that 150 billion in Africa? And then Africa should be able to feed Africa and become the net exporter of food to the rest of the world, because they're going to need it. So, you know, there's an enormous need, an enormous market. So that's the food side. And I think women and young people play a very important part in that. Then the other part that also needs to be addressed, especially in South Africa, but not only in South Africa, is the fact that we have no leadership. In much of Africa, in much of the world, there is no leadership. And we talk leadership and many more things. But and Gunther is our values-based leadership director as well. So I want to talk very briefly, specifically about values-based leadership and how women and young people can be the drivers of values, because leadership is failing around the world because of a lack of values. And we don't have to look any further than South Africa to see the disaster we've got at the moment. And Les Brown, who's my friend and mentor, he said a long time ago that leadership is failing because of a lack of values. Now look around the world, what's happened in the last 3 years, and nothing is further from the truth. It's just become more apparent. So what we want women and young people to start driving values back into the education system, values back into government, values back into organizations, and values back into the families. And I'm not talking about the fancy values that are on the walls. I'm talking about basic human values like respect, forgiveness, listening, restraint, hope, developing people, connecting, so many more. We've got 50 values that we work with, and we have been involved in not only transformation of families, transformation of communities, and at the moment we're working with the biggest NGO in Johannesburg, in Alexandra, but we've also been involved in the transformation of entire countries. Now this needs to happen and will happen in South Africa and other countries in Africa as well, because we need it. And once we get values as the basis of our foundation in life, in our businesses, and in our leadership, and in our social services, social surroundings, then Africa will be the country that it rightfully deserves to be, because Africa has got the riches, the resources, but the rest of the world is keeping Africa poor at the moment. It's about time to say, time out, enough. We are the oldest continent, one of the biggest continents, one of the fastest growing continents. We need to take a stand and say enough is enough. We are valuable to our own communities. We are valuable to the world, and women and young ladies need to take their stand and their rightful place in that scenario, because we always knew that women are the most powerful leaders there are. We just need more of them. So let's get them involved. Let's get values out there. Let's get training, learning, and developing other people, because we always talk about, and John Maxwell, who's also a friend and mentor of mine, he said once you've tasted significance, success will never be enough. Now, I never knew the whole idea about the difference between the two until I went to Guatemala 10 years ago, where we helped to start transformation of a country with 14 million people, average age 20. But what I did find is I found significance, and I want every listener, every person who watch this, I want them to get that feeling of significance. And what the difference is, success is for yourself, significance is for others. So let's lift other people up with us, because leadership is not walking yourself. Leadership is lifting other people up and walking together. Let's walk this journey together. Let's get into that significance, and let's make sure we and the women of Africa will start to make the difference they are making in their families. But let's go big or go home, and let get the African women and the African girls up in that realm of leadership, of the important business decisions, because African women in general are the better leaders. They led their family, they led their home life, they run the finances of home life for so much in so many countries. Now let's give them that platform they deserve and where they should be in Africa. And that's when we lost her.
Yeah. I think she's having more problems with, and Seki's having more problems with her signal than we are.
Yeah, unusual. Oh,
yeah,
completely gone.
Yeah, but she'll come back now.
Okay. And Bishop, I would love to hear about the programs you've got, because we need all of it. Yeah, please carry on.
Thank you so much for that powerful introduction, Jan, and the impact. The beauty of this is that we are here to collaborate, and we are here to work together. Africa is very rich, very, very rich, with resources, with everything that we need. All we need is to organize ourselves and to work together in unity, and to make sure we uplift each other. That's why I say, as you rise, lift me up. So as these few good men that are on the studio with me rise, they are going to lift us women and the Oh wow! Today this what is happening in the studio today. It takes me to a module, and I have written on change management, on the fourth industrial revolution. Is our country ready for fourth industrial revolution? The infrastructure. Look at how many times I've been kicked out of the studio right now, and I have everything in place. My network is. I thought it's fine, but it keeps cutting me and taking me out of the studio all the time. So that is the infrastructure that we need also to look into this ICT space, how we get things properly done and we get our programs running without being kicked in and out of the studio all the time. And now that takes me to the next question or line of discussion. We are talking about this, and some people are in rural areas. Now, your experience, Gunther, with being in in the area where you are in Randfontein, it's not really deep in the city. How is the bandwidth there? Is it easy for even people to access this digital space before we can even talk about helping them around? Do they have the access?
It's very
Over to you,
limit.
Gunter. I'm
Most.
going to leave
Thank
the
you very
studio
much.
this way. But,
It's very limited most days, and we
yes,
find
go
it
ahead, please.
actually, yeah, the digital connectivity in the area is very limited most days, and often because of the uh, load shedding and stuff with Eskom, it makes it worse. The cell towers and the service providers themselves are falling down because of the power grid not being stable all the time. And that's very important if we want to take our country forward, that we sort out the power situation and the digital situation to make sure that people have good connectivity in the future.
Thank you so much. I'm going to leave the same question to Bishop FJ. If you're able to unmute, or Jan, are you able to unmute? And I know you come from Netherlands. Maybe there is no struggle, but where now you are operating in Alex in Johannesburg, is everybody having the access to the digital space before we talk of helping them? All right, I
If
see Bishop is
Yeah,
unmuted.
I can talk if the bishop
Respond.
is still muted. I'll give a quick answer on that because there is plenty of problems in the Netherlands at the moment. In fact, the farmers are demonstrating by
Right.
the more than 10,000 people about what they're doing there. But that's for a different episode, I suppose. But there is a lot of problems there. But internet has not never been one of them. But there is a lot of areas and in the communities and also in Alex and a lot of these. Yes, people have access to basic data and basic information, but they haven't got the access to that internet that they need so they can train online. And that's why a lot of the requirements, as the bishop said as well, that a lot of the requirements are training and it's got to be in the physical space. I prefer the physical space anyway, because we do a lot of training and leadership development, communication, team building, youth development, and all those kind of things, and diversity, equity, and inclusion as well. But I always prefer the physical one, and I think for the foreseeable future, we need to make sure that we've got access to physical areas where this training and the information technology can be given to these people, because we can't fully expect most. I was seeing it in Pakistan as well, that most of the poverty is in the areas where there is no internet or limited internet. So then to provide training through internet is actually not helping them. That's only helping the ones who've got internet. So we need both. There is certainly not enough coverage of good internet everywhere. And as Gunther said as well, I'm sitting in a power cut, a load shedding at the moment, but I've got a little battery pack here beside me. But it is we can't expect everything to come through the internet. We need an approach of both. Yes, if people have got internet, they can get access to training and development and how to reach people for jobs and those kind of things. But we need to have feet on the floor. We need to have feet on the ground. We need to have people to go into these areas, and we go into Alex every so often to go and do training through values, because values connect people at the heart level rather than the head level. And when you've got people, I do TikToks as well at the moment about 21 irrefutable laws of leadership, and the one I did the other day is where they say the law of connection, and leaders give their heart before they ask for a hand. So, and I think that's what we need to do here as well. We need to give our heart to the people who need it most, and then ask them for a hand to make sure that we can walk together. But we have not got enough technology yet in these areas where they need it most to make sure that these people are the ones that are taken care of. And that's why if we don't help them with feet on the ground, they will remain poor.
Absolutely. We really do need the help. We need assistance. We need to lift people up. And my heart goes to even the young adults that have come out of universities that have studied hard, but they have no employment. Bishop, over to
Mhm.
you.
Yeah, from my side, like I
I s-
explained earlier,
yes, you are unmuted.
you can
You
hear me
are
now. Yeah,
Yes.
like I explained earlier on, the challenge that
yes,
we
yes.
have, obviously, when we look at the issue of the load shedding, the impact that it has on the development of the country itself is very serious.
Yep.
I understand that other
Yep.
people cannot maybe link the load shedding with the challenges that we're talking about. Now we're talking about technology. How can we advance in terms of technology when we've got a problem with the power supply? It affects everything because electricity is actually the heartbeat of every development. Without electricity, everything fails. Now,
Mm.
we people who are staying in towns, in the cities, they are affected by load shedding big time. But let's talk about people who are living in the outskirts, people who are living in the rural areas. How much more? Because when everything is normal, they don't have even enough power. I was checking the other days in the area of Limpopo. People are struggling with electrification. ESCOM is so behind. It has a backlog of electrifying homes. Now, when we are talking the issue of electricity, when are we going to start talking the issue of technology? Because we cannot talk about the technology when we are still struggling on electricity. These are the basic, these are the fundamentals. So we are struggling in terms of, of the power. Therefore, automatically, we will struggle in terms of the technology. Like I said
Yeah.
again earlier on, now the reason why you go in and out is because of the very same power okay, load shedding, basically. But at the very same time, you mentioned earlier on the issue of infrastructure. Remember, when you increase your infrastructure or the infrastructure to introduce technology, it also demands in terms of the power. That is why when you're looking at the town development, every development that must happen, it must also speak to the municipality so that they can increase their power. Now, this is the problem. Everything that you want to do that will take the country to the next level, it has to be linked with the stability of the power supply. Now, when we have the problem with the power supply, then it affects the whole development. Now, we're talking about bringing women in the space of farming, bringing girls in the space of farming. It is very true. But remember now what is happening. Now we need more land to bring the solar systems. And now the argument is the land that you need to use for the solar system is the very same land that we are also crying from the farming, that we are also crying for the farming. So actually, this thing goes. You cannot separate the two. The success of our country and the progression and the revolution, the digital revolution, cannot happen when we have a problem with the power supply. So to me, the areas in which we live, even the rural areas, they are affected big time by the issue of electricity, and definitely not only because of the electricity, even the progress, the progression of technology, it is also affected. In our area, we are affected, but the main problem that why we are affected is because of the unstable power supply. And when the power supply is unstable, creativity, innovation in terms of technology is also delayed. We've got young people who are talented and interested to bring new solutions, but they can't apply those solutions or implement those solutions when we've got this fundamental problem. That is why even today, when you go to look at the program, one of the power stations in Pumalanga, which it was a Komati power station, it is now declared as a power station that will be converted into the solar system plant so that it can supply more electricity. Now, looking at the areas around, they are looking forward because they know exactly that if that will be part of the solution that will bring stability to the power supply, then they will know that all other areas will then start to develop. So we are looking forward to see a future where women will be given an opportunity to make leadership decisions. And remember, it is also mentioned here that other problem that we have It's leadership, and we cannot pretend as if we don't know that we have problem with leadership. But you know that by excluding women, by excluding young people, you are not just excluding women and young people, but you are excluding a talent, a gift that can actually change the things. We have already been instrumental as men and leading, but we still have this problem. How about bringing the young people? How about bringing women in terms of leadership and making decisions? So to me, I would say in our area, the day we shall introduce women, give them empowerment, give them a platform to make decisions. Because another thing we can say, this is how men can develop women in terms of digital space. But the question can also be say, what is it that women need to be developed for the 4IR? Sometimes we will say women need to be developed here, but women can have a different perspective and say we want to be developed here. So I think another thing that we must consider in terms of women development is also to give women a platform to decide, to lead, to make decisions, especially in this revolution. We like it or not, we need to hear a different voice. We need to hear the voice that was never listened to, which is women and girls. Let's have even our girls, they can tell us a better thing. Let somebody give an ear to them. So to me, I think that is important. Yeah, but yes, we are affected, and the effect comes as a result of this poor power supply. Yes, ma'am. Over to you, doctor.
Thank you so much. Wow, Bishop. Before the thing kicks me out, I'm going to fight back and come back again to the studio. I want to acknowledge your beautiful wife, Lady Ozet Mahlangu. She says, thank you for empowering us. How do you feel, Bishop, when your wife publicly supports you and say, thank you for empowering us? This is leadership. This is the value. This is the respect we are talking about on leadership. If someone from home is cheering you up, it shows that you're a good leader. How do you feel?
Very encouraging because really that reflection says a lot. But she's also a powerful woman. The reason why people may think that I'm powerful, but actually she's the power behind.
She's the power behind you, right? Actually, I
Yes.
can testify. I know. This is why. Yes, yes. We have a podcast of women who are behind men that we see as powerful men, but they are powerful in their own rights and uplifting their communities. She is actually in line in the podcast. And thank you for doing this, starting from home and being very instrumental. I love the talk about agriculture on LinkedIn. We were, engaging with Gunther, and he said something as well in the area of agriculture. Is it okay that you repeat what you wrote on that statement, Gunther?
Sure, no problem. So the whole thing about what we need to realize what's happening in the world today, and a lot of people don't actually understand what is happening, but the world is about to go through extreme change. And what I mean by that is every country will have an uprising. The amount of time spent in the uprising and controlling it is determined by the people in the country. And what happens in that scenario when the food on the shelves in the stores or the supermarkets gets less and it's not enough for people? What happens to the people? The people start leaving the cities and they go back to the farms. And this is why it's extremely important that we focus on agriculture, because we
Yes.
need to make sure that we have food for the people. Because if we do not have food for the people, then we're in trouble.
Hmm.
And that is why we need to start working together sooner than later. Because
Absolutely.
if we do not get the people to understand what's coming, then we can have a serious problem in our country. If we
Hmm.
look at what happened in Zimbabwe, and I say, okay, we've got thousands of Zimbabweans in South Africa. Why do we have them here? People say, okay, the country was badly run, blah, blah, blah. Okay, whose fault is that?
Hmm.
It's the people's fault. The people allowed it to happen. The government in South Africa are caretakers. That's all they are. They are not the people with the power. It's the people that have the power. Who owns Eskom? The people of South Africa own it, not the government. We must stop giving the government so much power. We take away the education, we take away the power utility and run it as a nation. You know, and I'm not trying to cause trouble. I'm trying to see the solution to the situation we're sitting in. The government have proved that they're not good at that. They're not good at educating our people, the youth. We need to take control as the people of South Africa. We need to control education. We need to make sure the people understand what could happen and what's coming. And we need to make sure there's enough food for the people.
Yeah.
And this is not only going to happen in South Africa, almost
We
every
are the
country in the
government.
world.
The people should.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I agree. I agree with you, Gunther. We are the government. The people shall govern. And if we don't do anything, the government will not do anything for us. You sit in your corner and struggle and complain. So we are here to bring in solutions and not complain, but to say, what can we do together to
Exactly.
uplift ourselves? And we are the people who have to look next door and say, next door, they are also struggling. How can we assist and pull
Yeah.
each other up? We are not going to give handouts, but we give education that is
Yes.
going to help somebody, even to the next generation. So, what is our heritage? It is this education. Let's empower each other. Let's do our best, to speak the goodness that we have. The power is within us. The power to do all these things is within the person who have the access first and can then impart to the next person who is struggling. So
Yes.
thank you so much. We are here to impact and to inspire people to be at their best. Our time is going to run out, but there is one thing that I want you to do. Can you give us your last thoughts on how now are we going to look at opportunities? Bishop, you brought something I was going to speak about that. Now it means we have, I'm using the solar lights as we speak. So the solar, but also it runs out. There's no sun, and then the lights go down. So we really need to empower each other, to help each other. Those who have access to knowledge, bring it on, and let's help our people. If you have a program that you can put in your phone, then you go to the rural area and uplift people through showing them a program with your phone. You collect them into one room and teach them. We train the trainers, they go out and train other people. So, what are your last thoughts? What are the opportunities, and how are you going to continue to assist us in this journey?
Okay, on my side, Mtseki, I would say
Who will start?
always, if you want a solution, we must also look at the problem. The problems that we are currently having now, another problem which is going to surprise a lot of us is the problem of water. Now we've got the problem with electricity. The next problem is a problem with water. And like we have mentioned earlier on, the issue of food. Food is fundamental. Without food, we have failed everything. Now I'm saying we've got problem with food. We've got food supply. We've got, even if we supply food, we've got a problem with the quality of food that we supply. Remember, most of our food cannot actually feed people. It's food that has been, I don't want to mention a lot, but obviously the quality of food has dropped big time, because even the quality of the soil where we plant has also dropped big time. So now we have a problem with food. We're going to be having a serious problem with water, as we are having a problem with electricity. Now, if we see these three things as our problem, that means at the moment, I would say let us focus more on developing our people, in making sure that we prepare them to take advantage of the opportunities that shall come in terms of supplying water. We take advantages that shall come in terms of supplying electricity. Yes, you can say that, like Dr. Nziki is saying, we may have a problem with the issue of supplying electricity from the solar systems, that sometimes there's no sun and the like. But when we're talking about a plant, we're not just talking about just one house that has got the system, but we're talking about a plant that will be organized, a plant that is able to collect so much power, store it in the batteries, and be able to supply. Now we are talking about the solar plant instead of just solar system. So now, in terms of making sure that we redirect our development, our growth, our career, like I would say, let us redirect our career towards water supply. Let us redirect our career towards food supply. Let us direct our career towards power supply. If we can close these three things, but obviously using technology as a leverage, because technology is the one that makes us to achieve more with less. It cuts on the time. Like you mentioned earlier on, in terms of marketing and the like, that you speak to 1 million of people within a minute. So now that is the power of technology. But let us use technology to develop our people to access these three sectors. If we can do that, we have our future. And something that I like also that you mentioned, the issue of working together. I'm telling you, the only thing that will fail our politics is when we're still going to talk about blacks, we're going to talk about whites, when we're going to talk about
Yeah.
Chinese, when we're talking about Indians. The more we go there, the problem does not see a nation. A problem is a problem. But the day we shall put our differences aside and say who are good people we can work with to develop our country, only that we will find a solution. There are good people from the black nation, there are good people from the white
Of course.
nation, and there are bad people from the black nation, there are bad people from the white nation. But if we can just use an opportunity to identify good people from the whites, good people from the blacks, and we put these people together, I am sure we will find a solution. Thank you very much.
Wow, what a powerful, bottom line. Are we not powerful right here as a Rainbow Nation in this studio? Thank you so much, Bishop FJ. Over to you, Kunze. Just to round up, how do you see us going forward together in this collaboration and how you lift women and girls up? Thank you.
Thank you. I think what what the youth, especially the youth in our country, need to see is that we're currently in a position they have an opportunity like never before. And why do I say that? Because a lot of them are staring unemployment in the face. I say that because it's now time to be yourself. It's time to grow yourself with self development and stop worrying about what the rest of the world is doing. South Africa can stand by itself. We need to stop worrying because we saw what's happened through the whole world now during COVID. Countries that relied on certain countries for certain resources were all punished because they couldn't get those resources. South Africa needs to stand by itself and start growing its own technologies, its own factories, and start it all up again. You know, uh, people all want to move to the city, but if you're staying in a town or a village, that town or that village, they need a bricklayer, they need a plumber, they need an electrician, they need a doctor, they need a dentist. So they need one of everybody at least as well. Start thinking entrepreneurially about going forward in your future. And women and children are great women and young girls are great at this because women seem to have more tenacity than men. And I'm sorry, men, but this is the truth. Women really do. They have more tenacity. When they take on a project, they stick with it and they give it everything they got. And this is an opportune time for all South Africans to step up and do exactly what they want. But open your eyes to the areas which need you the most, because that's where you will make the most. Thank you very much.
While we have left Nseki, I want to appreciate you for the way you look at things. I think if we can take these minds together and even encourage our communities to see what you are saying as a solution, we'll get somewhere. Thank you very much. I'm taking notes from all the things that we are saying. I've got my team just around me who are taking notes because it's very important what you are saying. So I see Dr. Nsiki is back. Over to you, ma'am.
Oh, yes, I was just behind scenes. I wanted. Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Bishop. I see your comment. The Facebook page is public. So hence you see I could flight the comments from Lady Ozet. Are people still struggling to see and comment? It's open to comments, so people can also engage with us in the studio. Now, I have a famous question for both of you. We cannot live without asking both of you this question. In your life and what you do and who you are, what is the legacy that you leave today? And you want to leave that legacy to your best ability and to leave it on earth.
Okay, on my
Let me
side.
start with Gunther. Yes, yes,
much.
Go on, Bishop.
Okay.
Yeah, I say, okay, thank you very much. I see my batteries low that I wanted to answer first. Sorry for that. Yeah, I think on my side, what is more important is that.
Oh, okay, please.
Come back again, doctor. Okay, it's fine. I'm saying on my side.
Yes, please go ahead, Bishop. Please, quick.
Okay. I'm saying on my side, the legacy that I want to leave behind, I just want to see the future where blacks and whites will work together to solve these problems that are hidden, these subtle problems that are hidden because we don't want to see the reality of the things. Like we said earlier on, the day blacks and whites can work together, combining the best forces, if we can get the best combination from all these nations, use those people to fight the problems that we have in our country, we'll get somewhere. Let me give an easy example. Today, we've got white people who are experienced in terms of farming more than us as blacks. Are we going to pretend as if we don't know that they're experienced? But they are. We also have experience in other areas. How about having a conversation that we sit together and say, what is it that we can do to join forces and make sure, for the sake and for the benefit of our country and for the benefit of the future of our children, because we like it or not, revolution will never stop. It will continue. So I'm saying what I want to leave behind, it is a future where black and whites will work together without consideration of a color, but to bring a solution to take our country forward. I see in the next 100 years, our children better than us, not seeing a color, but seeing a gift, seeing a talent, seeing a commitment. Like we talked about the values earlier on, seeing values, people who are committed, people who are disciplined, and like now starting to value things that will make a big difference. I remember when Obama said, the day we forget about looking at or judging people from our ethnic perspective is that day that we will free ourselves, because freedom can never happen unless we start to think freely. Now, the first freedom that we must experience is to be able to see from a different person. Being a black, see a good white man. Being white, see a good black man, and join forces and move forward. But let us not forget, there are bad black men, there are bad white men, as much as there are also good white men, good people. Now, our drive and the legacy that we want to leave behind is that combination. The day we shall look at it, we shall see that alignment of good people coming together to create a future that will make sure that our kids and our descendants have something that we have left behind for. So thank you, ma'am. Even this conversation that we have here, it's a platform, it's a seed that can actually transform the future of our children. I'm not seeing this thing working just today, but I'm seeing whatever that we are discussing working even in the next 10 years, in the next 20 years. The day we are no longer here, our kids will go back to this podcast and look at the archives and see what is it that we discussed. And our kids must know that we are looking forward to a future that will put together gifts and talents to take them forward even to the next level, because we are moving away from competing as a blacks against white, but we will be competing as a country against another country. So we cannot wait for the day where we say South Africa is the best in Africa. And really, as much as this show is international, but because I'm from South Africa, I want to see a South Africa that will represent the strength and the power of South Africans. So thank you very much, Doctor. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Wow, thank you so much, Bishop FJ. Hi, you really have to take Lady OZ out for a very beautiful dinner. You know, she says true, FJ, and it is true, honestly, what you are saying. Nothing but the truth in the studio today. You know what? This thing of being one, the coronavirus impact on all of us, it didn't see color, it didn't see age, it didn't see your wealth or whatever, but it was hitting any human being that had breath and was breathing. It shows that we are just one. Let us connect, let us unite and be one. So you
Yes.
owe a Lady OZ a good dinner. Please, Bishop.
Thank you.
Yes, over
I'll
to
do that.
you,
I'll do that.
Gunther. Could you please?
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much. So the New Nation
Okay.
Education has a project called
Thank you so much.
Project Uplift a Nation. What it's about, it's making sure that every child in South Africa gets equal opportunity. Because the if you look at the education system, it's appalling, and it's sad to think after so many years we're still struggling with a basic thing like education. And so the legacy is that every generation, every future generation has good quality education. And that education should be technology. It should be the future. It shouldn't be this old age industrial education that we went through, which serves nobody. And not only that, it's to help communities, the 32 million unemployed people in South Africa, shift into the economy and help them each become a taxpayer, because that's what we need. We need every person in South Africa to be a taxpayer. And people only think taxes are bad because it feels terrible when you have to pay taxes. But when you understand the purpose of the tax and you're earning enough money, then tax is not a problem. Tax is a way to help the other people in the country that aren't earning the money that you're earning. And when we can create generational wealth for the people of South Africa, then we will become a free South Africa. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you very much. Before this naughty bandwidth kick me out, let me acknowledge the speakers today. Thank you so much to Gunther, and thank you to Bishop FJ. You have been such a wonderful, wonderful guests on studio, and thank you, Gunther, for inviting Jan. We are here now. We are collaborating already by being together, and we are going to continue to take further this conversation and see what can we do together. Now I just want to acknowledge our sponsors and say thank you first of all to our viewers. Thank you for to our viewers out there who have been listening and those who will be listening to the podcast afterwards. Thank you for being with us. Please like our pages, subscribe and follow us, and to partner or collaborate or sponsor a show, DM me, Nzikinga, all the platforms. And thank you to our sponsors, VUCA Africa Foundation in South Africa and Amplified Moms Empowerment Network, that is Amen, in California, in the USA. Thank you so much for being with us. If you'd love to partner with us and to support this initiative, we also have a PayPal account for Power to Lead Show. This is a foundation, and in our foundation, we do this. This agriculture we're talking about, we have a program of waste to creation. Those who don't have gardens use even the containers to plant seeds in the containers, and you can have your vegetables. If you don't have the space, but you like fizzy drinks, you have containers, you can collect, cut them, put the soil inside and plant the seeds and plant the vegetables. Let's go organic. Let's make agriculture sexy, as they said. Thank you so much. And now it's time to say bye bye to the viewers. May you, our guest in the studio, say bye bye to our viewers and thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Great to be
After
here.
saying bye bye to the viewers, thank you so much. And then, Bishop, could you please just round up with a beautiful word of prayer to thank God for this session?
Okay, as we bow our heads, Father, I want to take this opportunity to thank you. Thank you for the change that we are about to experience. And I thank you for the impact of this show. And I thank you that you are not only speaking to us, but you are speaking through us to the nation. I speak to the environment to receive the intent of this show. I speak to the nature to respond positively in the name of Jesus. Whatever that we have discussed here, I speak that you align and you connect the right hearts, to connect the right minds, to connect for the development, for the upliftment, and also for the manifestation of the mission of this show. I pray in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you. Great to meet you.
Pray in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you so much.
Amen.
Bye.
Thank you. Great to meet you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It kicked me out, but I'm here to say amen and to say thank you so much, Gunther. And thank you to Bishop. He told us that his battery was going off. And thank you so
Yes.
much. Here we are closing the show together. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
You
Good.
too. Thank you very much, Ntiki. Chat soon. Bye.
Thank you. Just stay behind. Just stay behind scenes, please.
Okay.